morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're coming from. My name is Nicole Safely, and I am the host of our Art of Confidence event. I'm super excited to be here with you, whether you're in our I Am Fierce community or you are a follower of one of our amazing speakers. We're so excited to have you in the conference. This is all about how to build unstoppable confidence so that you can skyrocket your revenue. And I am so excited today to bring Chris Felton to speak with us. He is all about getting you unstuck. And Chris is an Amazon best-selling author. He's a seven-figure entrepreneur and the founder and principal of his own financial services firm, which he started in 1999. So he has definitely helped tens of thousands of people internationally to overcome their resistance to change, really being able to create more success, peace, and impact in their lives. And we were just talking like, this is all about connection and really, building people up to live to their fullest. And Chris speaks from his own experience, you guys. This isn't theory. It is all about, how he was on the edge of financial ruin, business failure, divorce, and he's going to share the secrets that really allowed him to avert that potential disaster and transform all the areas of his life. So as you know, this stuff, it's all connected, right? We're not individuals in our money and then our business and our personal life. Is so integrated. And Chris really leads and trains hundreds of agents across the United States. He's helped over 17,000 people to become more financially literate and experience financial relief. He has just released a book and it is going to be amazing. It's called Think and Grow You. And Chris is focused on helping driven entrepreneurs to break through plateaus in their growth by learning how to get out of your own way and take your success and peace and impact to the next level. So Chris, no doubt, I am excited to have you with us today. Thank you so much for taking time out to be here in our summit. And I would love to just start, I want to know more. Where were you? What was that situation like before you kind of figured the stuff out and got yourself unstuck?
So let's go to the lowest point.
Okay, let's dive in.
Have you ever been in a situation and it's unfolding in front of you and you're like, how the did I get here?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's like, it's like a bad dream, a bad movie.
And
And
sometimes it can happen and like you're going, and then you're like, oh crap, yeah, where did we get here? We're at the dead end.
yeah, so I'm in the kitchen having a very heated argument with my second, current, and last wife, Marlo.
Okay.
And I am in a mess. So my background, I call myself a recovered CPA. I'm a financial advisor. I teach people how money really works. I teach financial literacy. And the reason the conversation is so heated is because I'm out of money.
Now, how does
And
that happen? You're supposed to be this expert
I
over
know,
here
I
and
know.
you're out of money.
Tell me about it.
Uh-huh.
You sound like my wife. That's exactly. She's like,
Well, I'll tell you,
what
my
is?
sister graduated from Harvard. When she passed away, I get a call from the estate people. She didn't have a will. So I get it. Like, we're in those fields. We don't always practice what we preach, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife is pissed off because she walked in because we're newly married, and
Mhm.
she walked into a marriage to a guy that looked successful.
Yeah.
I gave pretty speeches on success. I had her convinced I was successful, but what she quickly realized was I was a financial crap show.
Mhm.
And I laid down in my divorce because I felt so guilty. I did
Oh.
nothing my attorney told me to do.
Mhm.
I signed a 6,000 square foot office lease that I couldn't afford. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm on the lease, and I'm paying my ex-wife $5,200 every month in alimony and
Oof.
child support. And I'm a financial services entrepreneur, and we're in the middle of the Great Recession. And so I'm in $250,000 of credit card debt.
Oof.
And so my wife is pissed because the next day I have to make that $5,200 payment to my ex.
Uh-huh.
And my wife, Marlo, great with money, best financial decision I ever made was give her the control over our money.
Mhm.
Um, but she had a separate savings account separate from our marriage because she was smart enough not to commingle money with a broke dude. And she
I
had
need
her,
to meet this woman.
yeah, oh yeah, you love her. Yeah, she's spunky.
Yeah.
But she had her eye on this business suit at Nordstrom's,
Mm.
and I needed that money.
Mhm.
So I am in the kitchen convincing my wife to give me her money to pay my ex-wife.
Oh, you're brave.
Yeah, as my friend said, you got some cojones. And
Uh-huh.
and how do you think that went? Not
Not so
too
swell.
good.
Yeah.
And so we're arguing, and I'm like, I'm your soulmate. You said this, and you
Yeah.
said you'd do everything for me. And then Nicole, I literally turned my head for about 2 seconds, and I hear this woof, and her 20-pound purse, maybe we can do a separate show on why women's purses are so big, but her 20-pound purse comes flying over my head,
Woo.
lands, shit goes everywhere. I, I give her, I'm like, honey, there was stuff in that purse from the 80s. I saw a Madonna CD like fly across
Fly out. Yeah,
fly
just in
out.
case. You never
But
know.
so how pissed is the woman that has to throw her purse? But she doesn't just do it once. She does it again and again and again. And we're having the fight of our lives. And she's
Yeah.
counting on her fingers. And, my wife's about 5 foot. Everyone's scared of her in our office. I call it volcanic Marlowe. And I finally just said, well, if it's so bad, why are we still together?
Mm.
And total silence. She went upstairs to think about that question for the rest of the night,
Yeah.
and I had the awakening of my life because I'm sitting there and all I could literally see are just dominoes falling one after the other.
Mhm.
And I actually thought about my previous marriage, and I'm like, you know what? She actually really never had a chance
Mhm.
because I was actually expecting it to fail.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things I teach people, Nicole, is you don't get what you hope for, you get what you expect.
Absolutely.
My kids were at this point 4 and 1.
Mm.
I'm in Colorado. My ex lives in Atlanta. I
Okay.
hadn't I
Yeah.
hadn't seen him for about 9 months because I didn't have enough money to go see him.
Yeah.
The financial stress is physically impacting my wife. I'm drinking a bunch, and I finally woke up, and I'm like, dude, the common theme here,
Mhm.
you.
Is you. Yeah.
And I had to wake up out of this what I call hopium that the masses live in, which is
Mhm.
hoping the outside world will change while insisting on remaining the same. And I
Oh.
just realized right there, I have to take 100% responsibility for this disaster, and I must change. And so Marlo and I got together the next day, and in her, to her credit, in her moment of intense stress and pain, it would have been really easy to walk out the door, but she didn't. She
Mhm.
focused on what she loved about me, which broke my self-sabotaging pattern of
Yeah.
hitting a wall with people, finding the negative and moving on. And
Mhm.
so she said, listen, we're staying together. We're not declaring bankruptcy. We're not getting jobs. We're going to figure out our business. We had access to wealthy mentors, so we had a few assets. She's like, I'm going to call these wealthy couples who had wealth in all areas of their life, and I'm going to figure out what they think, what they do. Our first book, Couples Money, came out of that. And then she was kind of like, what are you going to do, Chris Felton? And I'm like, I'm going to
Yeah.
figure out how this creates disasters, and I'm not interested in a great life. I'm not interested in changing. I'm committed because, most people
Yeah.
are interested. So,
I've got
long
a
and
joke
short,
there for you.
go ahead.
Interested versus committed. The chicken went to the pig and said, "Hey, I think we should start a restaurant." And the pig said, "Oh yeah, what are we going to serve?" And the chicken said, "Bacon and eggs." Pig's like, "I'm out." Right? For you to be interested, I'm a chicken, right? All I have to do is lay the eggs. I get to live another day. But really being committed is putting your bacon on the line, right? It is, if
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, I'm all in. And, then you have the decision, am I really in or am I out? And so you get to choose, are you a chicken or are you a pig? And it may, you have to put a lot into it to be in that space of commitment. But that decision, I can imagine, has changed your life. Like you can't just be interested, oh, I'll try. You've got to go for it. That was a pivotal moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most people are interested in a great life.
Hmm.
And one of the things, and I think social media has just exacerbated this, is people think they can get something for nothing.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested, you'll hit the roadblock, the adversity, your limiting beliefs, your past will come up, and then you'll do what I call chicken exits. And then
Yep.
my dad did this his whole life. He'd hit some adversity, pick up, he'd move, he'd pick up, he'd move, he'd pick up, he'd move. And when Marlo said, "What do you mean by committed?" I'm like, you know how an Olympic athlete treats their sport? That's going to be me with my mindset, my personal growth, my personal development, mainly focusing initially on my horrific money beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just committed to her. I, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but I was all in. I was obsessed. I was up at 4:30, 5 in the morning, going to what I call the mental gym every
Mm-hmm.
single day and just working on me. And then my favorite quote of Mel Robbins is, "It didn't happen overnight, but it happened over time." And
Mm-hmm.
we had a jaw-dropping level up transformation, took our income up to 7 figures. I mean, just crazy things happen. But most importantly, I leveled up in all areas of my life. So anyway, that's
I
kind of
love it. Yeah,
what
the
leads us
things I
here.
heard from you are, number one, somebody cared enough to call you on your bull, right? And you had the humility to not turn around and to recognize you're right. And I think that is huge. And sometimes we don't have other people outside of us to that even care enough to call us out. So we need to do that ourselves, right? If you find yourself in this circle, or you can honestly say, yeah, this is a disaster, you've got to have the humility to know that you created it, to accept and realize I am responsible for everything, not taking responsibility, but you are responsible for everything that's here. Did your ex-wife have something to do with your mental things, in the relationship? Sure, you could have blamed that, but at the end of the day, like you said, you're the common denominator. I'm the common denominator in my situations. How do I take and be responsible? And then finding mentors. That was a second piece, is like, maybe I'm not doing it, but there are people out there who are successful. Go ask them. And I would imagine those people showed up and were super excited to share what they've done, right? Go ask someone. That's a form of appreciation to them. So how did you go from that space? And you said, then we magically, you didn't say magically, but we jumped from it was a shit show to 7 figures and our business is on track. What was that process? Like, it wasn't that simple. What were the tips maybe that you got from your mentors that you've incorporated now into your practice?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, but I found a coach, right? And really, the problem my book solves and everything I solve is stuck, right? And so
Mhm.
there's some components to get unstuck. One is, you mentioned it, we have to humble down, right? We have to bring humility to the party, and it's tough, especially for a lot of guys, to be told we're not delivering.
Mhm.
And so I hired a coach for 4.5 years who was financially independent, who was wildly successful, totally world class. And he had to kind of fight me a little bit on that humility part, because I wanted to keep putting up the facade that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And we get in arguments. And it's a chapter in my book. He said, "Your need to be right will cost you your life, dude."
Mm.
Like,
Ah,
and then I would keep fighting him. And he said, "Hey, Chris, based on results, how is your way working? Let's dig into that a little bit.
yeah.
You're in debt up to your eyeballs. You're borderline alcoholic. Your wife is about ready to go out the door. You're staring down alimony payment number two.
Mhm.
How's your way working, bud?" And so humility, got to bring
Yeah.
humility. Second thing is, you must be willing to change,
Mhm.
and it's not optional. And so the masses, the middle class, the 96% of people in the United States that retire broke. We live in the richest country on the planet.
Yep.
Have this addiction to comfort, Nicole. And I start my book with my most favorite quote from Jeff Shore: "A life spent seeking comfort results in an entirely uncomfortable existence."
Ooh, that's powerful.
And so you have to grow. Trees are either growing or dying. Grass is either growing or dying. So humans have created this definition of comfort, that if you're actually in comfort, you're actually in decline.
Mhm.
The third thing is, you must do the work on you. It's not optional. And then the fourth thing, is the work is going to be worth it. And a lot of people, a lot of the masses, a lot of the middle class are like, well, what if I do all this and it doesn't pan out and all that? And so, like I said, I had a few assets going for me, but that fourth one I had going for me because in college, Nicole, I started the habit of asking successful people, was it worth it?
Oh, yeah.
I asked hundreds of people that. And what was amazing about that question is they were never confused by the question.
Mm-hmm.
And they emphatically answered that yes, it was, meaning everything they had to go through
Mm-hmm.
to create the life they wanted was worth it. So, me working on me every day, I just had to plant the seeds every day and not quit and move the farm, which is what most people do.
And then start over, because wherever I go, there I am. Right. Like,
Yeah.
you're never going to
Yeah.
outrun yourself. And
Yeah.
I two things that you said, we work forever. And then, if we haven't taken care of business, we find ourselves in a meager existence in retirement, which is absolutely crazy. And then the other side of it is just stepping into doing the work. I found myself too questioning, like, well, if I do this, it's like fear of missing out. If I spend my time over here, will it actually pan out? And sometimes we have to borrow other people's stories. I love that you asked that question of, like, was it worth it? Like, don't lie to me. Like, I see you did all of this. Would you trade it? And if you can borrow that story from someone else and bring that into your own, belief system, I think that helps, because I've found myself in the past, like exactly what you said. And that's why I kind of came to this space a couple of years ago, as I was going in circles, be really good in my job, and then I'd get dissatisfied with that, and I'd start my own business, and and it was never success, because I was always running into the same blockers, which was me. So I totally get that. And I love you using other people's success to keep that picture for yourself.
Yeah. For sure.
So beyond that, so you've got this vision, you're going to put the work in. Tell me a little bit about the kind of the transformation over that time. Once you recognize that you started doing the work, what the picture look like for you financially and for your mental strength, I guess, as you built that?
Yeah, well, the first thing that we did is, and I spent a lot of time talking about it in the book, and I talk about it with entrepreneurs, is we had to know what we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the most beat up topic in personal growth and
Yeah.
development
Tell me your
is
why. Yeah.
what's
What
your
do you want?
why? What do you want? And if you're hearing this, I once again, I had been blessed with a tremendous amount of incredible mentoring. And I'd be in meetings, Nicole, and with like self-made billionaires and like household names of just amazing people. I just got super lucky. And they were the most successful people in the room. And they'd always be like, got to know your why, got to be clear, you got to
Mm-hmm.
do this, you got to do that. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I got to take the no clear. And I'd be all about getting clear. And I'd walk out of the conference and a squirrel would run by me. And I'd be like, wait, I got to go catch that squirrel.
Yeah.
And, right.
Yeah.
So
Gonna be the next greatest thing, right?
yeah.
All
And,
of this
and I'm
stuff.
like, okay, let me grab that squirrel and then I'll get clear. And then I was in a training, just amazing. It was Waldorf Astoria, New York, Christmas time, like just unbelievable. And this guy walks in, this leader. He was 2 hours late for the meeting, and it was
Uh-oh.
actually the chairman of our company was at the
Uh-huh.
front of the room with legends in my business. The great Ed Milet was at the front of the room too,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Back in the day, and they were talking about the how-tos of everything. Like, how do
Mm-hmm.
you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And so this leader from Canada comes in, he's 2 hours late. I think he's hungover. And he like walks to the middle of the room. He interrupts the meeting because he sees what we're doing. We're talking about sausage making.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, why are you talking about this crap? He's like, this isn't important. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, the reason I kick all your asses is from the day I came here, I knew what I wanted. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew all the whys, the compelling emotional reasons, because goal setting is not logical, it's emotional.
Yeah.
You must know your reasons. And he's like, y'all can't do it. I can spit out 90 seconds where I'm going, what I want, why I want it. And y'all can't do that. So you jack around with this stuff. And they
Mhm.
left.
That's why he could be 2 hours late and spend 15 minutes with you and leave, because it's
It,
simple, it's cut and
it,
dry.
if 15 minutes, but the reason I illustrate that, and he's not very
Mhm.
talented. If you looked at him, you'd be like, dude, this guy makes, 10 grand a year. Like,
Yeah.
not 10 million a year. So the reason I'm saying that is I turned to Marlo and I was like, done with this. We got to do this because pass on the transformation. That was Marlo and I sat down and we were like, what do we want? And she said, we're $250,000 in debt. If we can't save money, we will never become debt free. That's one of the lessons we learned from
Mhm.
our interviews or her interviews in Couples Money. If you can't save money, you'll never be debt free. And so I'm like, what would make you feel good? She said, 100,000 in the bank saved. And I said, why?
Mhm.
And Nicole, we spent an hour doing the deep dive on that.
Yeah.
Why? She's like, how about you? I'm like, I don't want to fight with you around money again. I don't like that you're in pain. I don't like that I don't see my kids. So the whys must be tied back to people and
Mhm.
what you want to do with them. And so the first thing, and then I'll stop, is you have to know what. And if you're like, I don't know what I want. Okay, you're hearing this. Grab your weapon of mass distraction, your
Yeah.
cell phone, right?
Where's my phone? All
Grab
right.
your weapon of mass distraction. Go to the calendar
Yeah.
and schedule preferably a couple hours,
Okay.
right? And then pick a place where you like to go.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I go to fancy hotels. Sometimes I go out in nature. Grab a journal and write down, what do I really want my life to look like? What would my ideal life look like? Okay.
Yeah.
And spend time there. And one of my mentors, he's 71, he's on fire. And we were having this conversation a month ago. He said, Chris, are you dream flat?
Tell me
I'm
more.
like, dream flat,
Mm-hmm.
meaning are you flat with your dreams? Are you just allowing your environment to dictate your thinking?
Yeah.
And he said, you might even be dream dead.
Ooh.
And he said, what are your top 25 dreams? And I'm like, 25?
I know. And the top. That means
Yeah.
there's more.
So here's the challenge, and I'll shut up.
Don't. I love it.
I'm challenging Nicole. I'm challenging the crew. I'm challenging everybody.
All right.
Get your top 25 dream list pulled together.
Okay.
And what's cool is you might get stuck at 7 or 8. Doesn't really matter, right? Just have the list with you. But you're going to start looking for things, right? So he said this. I cranked out a bunch of cool things. And most of it doesn't, stuff's fine, but a lot of it's just really, really cool things I want to leave my mark on this planet with.
Yeah.
And so I was online, I was on LinkedIn, and my mentor that helped me with my book, he said, hey, here's one of my mentees delivering a meeting. And he had his own studio,
Nice.
Nicole, like this kind of, I don't know if you've seen Tony Robbins, like that big
Yes.
ass
With
thing.
all the screens, he's got thousands of people in
Yeah.
a room virtually with him. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy kind of had a mini in-home version of that, but it was
Oh,
really nice. And
sweet.
I'm like, I
Well,
want that. Right.
yeah.
So it hit my dream list. But if I didn't have a dream list, I would have missed it.
And when you talk about that too, the power of that, we won't go into it, but it's it's called the reticular activating system. When you get the picture of what you want and you have clarity, like your subconscious goes to work and starts to pull those things, those experiences, those people, those places to you. It's kind of like, driving down the highway, you didn't buy a car, didn't notice a car, and then you go and you buy it, and suddenly you see 50 of them, everywhere you go. It's because our mind starts to seek out those things that we have a vision for. And so, I mean, it's super powerful and like doesn't take a whole lot except your creativity and imagination to get clarity, right? And then you
Yeah.
let yourself go to work. Yeah. All right. So we're going to get a date with ourselves or our money partner, whatever, to go somewhere creative, make a list of at least 25 dreams.
Yeah.
What do we want? What do we want to have? What do we want to do? The relationships we want to create. All right. I can do.
And then set your number one goal, your number one goal. My wife and I just got done talking about our number one goal, which is, the double of our income from where we are now, and the clarity of the people we're going to impact by doing that. Right.
I
And
think
what it's going
that's
to
the
mean for
key
us.
too. Yeah, it's
Absolutely
not
the
just
key.
money. It's about the things that money can help you do and influence,
Yeah.
develop, be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
money's a scorecard of value that you're creating.
Yeah.
And one of my affirmations is, if I'm growing, my money's growing.
Mhm. And people need us to grow. So, kind of circling to
Sure.
why are we even here, right? There are people that are looking to you. They're in my community. There are people that I look to, right? If we don't advance, others don't advance. And not that they're dependent on us or we're the epitome of anything, but like our growth leads to growth in the people that we touch. And that's so super powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I love it. I love it. So you've got your top 25 list, you've got clarity there. What else do we look at and what do you share with your clients and readers in your book on the next step?
Yeah. I mean, it's, the book really
Get to
covers five different pillars. And one is, the first pillar is get out of your own way. And
it. Mhm.
so, and that is recognizing self-sabotage behaviors.
Yeah.
Right. And so just the awareness of that. The second pillar is shifting. The third is relationships. The fourth is really, I'll cover some how-tos and some game planning things. Is the fourth. The fifth is really, I think it's the first thing, but in the order of the book was, it's really the dream. It's really first knowing what you want. So as it related to us, $100,000 goal. And once again, doing it differently than my left brain CPA always wanted to do it. Oh, great. Spreadsheets and
Mhm.
let's map it out and all that. It was why,
Getting into your heart.
right? Why, spending time there. And then, so we're really clear on that. But at that point, Nicole, it looked like Mount Everest, because it was Mount Everest to us. I'd never
Mhm.
saved that amount of money before. And so I had to, and you just talked about, you know, your capacity to hit your goal. And I was talking with a bunch of leaders yesterday. I'm like, guys, you got to spend the time, you got to do the programming of yourself. You have to program, you got to plant the seeds. Your capacity to influence your subconscious mind, we could talk for hours on it. A lot of people have a surface level understanding of that, but I
Mhm.
had to change my mindset around money. So I'll spend a little time on that. And so the first thing I did was, okay, 100,000 is way out there. But if we could save the first 10 grand, then I know we have momentum.
Yes.
And so I created a mental movie that I would do every morning, 2 to 3 minutes. And one of the things that changed me was I identified the feeling that I was hoping to obtain before I would play the mental movie. Okay.
Mhm.
Because my left brain, human doing behavior is, all right, I visualize, check mark. Okay. On the next
Mhm.
thing, the next thing, the next thing. But it wasn't impressing upon my subconscious mind that only understands emotion and feeling. So I played a movie of my wife coming down the stairs in her ski outfit on a Wednesday. We're in Colorado, right? The hills, or the mountains, a 90-minute drive away. But I see her coming down the stairs. That was her renewal, kissing me on the forehead, getting in her car and going and skiing for the day, because she felt safe enough that she could at least take a day off.
Uh-huh.
And Nicole, when I would say, okay, I want financial relief, and I see that image, that And I would do that and I would just get conscious and aware. I mean, I'd wake up from that in tears.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big seed that got planted in my subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Right. So that,
Yes.
and having that morning session, but then you got to, I call it the 60,000 foot level to the 5 foot level. You got the 60,000 foot level. That's your dream, your vision, your image. You do a little work on that, and then you got to execute and win the day
Mm-hmm.
and get back to the 5 foot level. So we had it. So I had the plan. I had the execution plan. I did it whether I was ready or not. And then Marla and I had a check-in point every week. Are we closer? Are we further away?
Mm.
And what that did was it reprogrammed my subconscious around money. But then when I hired my coach, he said, and it's a lesson in my book, highly recommend everybody do it. He said, I want you to grab a green journal.
Why green? For money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And write the word money at the top of the first page and write down everything you make up about that word.
Mm.
It was powerful. And I actually have my list in my book where I'm like, money's hard to make, money's hard to keep, rich people suck. I mean, it was 15, 20 major pieces of head trash around money.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I finally met the enemy. It is I. And then I just
proven it.
Yeah. So then I wrote a new money story that was more affirming. And I'm like, okay, man, you got to affirm and stay on this. And anytime your mind wanted to go down the rabbit hole of that, you just wake up, shift, delete, affirm, all the stuff I talk about in the book. But those were some of the key ingredients: the clarity, the working on the beliefs, but executing the plan, whether you're ready or not, because there's a lot of people that come to a lot of events and they're like, well, once I'm fixed, then no, I call those people personal development zombies.
Yes.
No.
You're not going to be fixed, number one. I mean, it's a continual journey, but it's not just going to be manifest either. Like a lot of people stop at vision. Oh, if I get a vision board and I do these positive affirmations, suddenly everything's going to come, right? We know, and God tells us too, right? You've got to work. Like it's the combination and breaking it down and knowing that the work you're putting in is going to result in something, right? Trusting the process and allowing it, just like your money, to grow over time and snowball. And what I heard in the beginning was you would get some things going, relationship or money, and then abandon it because it didn't feel good. Now we're starting over. And I say that because that's exactly what I do in the past. Just that would eventually keep me from even starting something because I knew how it was going to end. And so just sticking in day to day and checking in. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have two challenges. We're going to make a list of all of our thoughts about money and then really look at that and then recreate what we'd like those thought patterns to be, right? Switching that and using that practice of, would you say, control, alt, delete, basically, shifting yourself and picking up the new view. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this, Chris. We could talk for ages, and I'm actually hoping that we can stay connected because I think this is a space that my husband and I get to grow in as well. We were non-traditional people, financially, family. Like when I graduated college, we had 4 kids. And for the first part of our life, all of it was financially just figure it out. Like it was a shit show too. And we're in a space now where we both make good money, but we still don't have a lot of savings. In fact, I reached out to our financial planner for the first time ever in my life about a month ago. And I'm like, hey, we need a plan for retirement. Guess what? I'm 51. And the number that she gave me was like, okay, it's time to button it up and figure it out. Now, can we do that? Absolutely. But, sometimes too, I think it's that fear of you're in a place like $250,000 in debt. Where do I go? And just knowing that it doesn't matter. The best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is today, right? We have to do it in the moment. And so even if you're down the road and you think you're in a place you can't recover from, you absolutely can, but you won't unless you stop and you recognize and you look inside yourself. Like, these things aren't happening to us. We're responsible and we get to fix it. And there are fixes, right? Go get the book. Is Think and Grow You, has it been released yet? No, you guys. Okay, so we can get that on Amazon. I'm excited about that. And then I know that you had some book bonuses that you wanted to offer to the audience and ways to connect with you. What's the best way to get more genius from you?
Yeah. So the book bonuses, I mean, just some really cool things that, are companion, to the book, different workbooks. And then there is an interview with a legendary Canadian entrepreneur, a guy named Steve Holbrook.
Okay.
He's a great guy to follow anyway, but he interviews me in the book for the book, about the book, and really some deep dive, and then like what he brought to the table and his mindset and the stuff that created his 7-figure plus business. So that's a book bonus too. That's substantial. And chrisfelton.me. That's the website.
All right, you guys go out, definitely connect with Chris. We'll provide all of the links and everything as we send this out for you, so you can connect in social, get on his list, go get the book. And likely we will even be doing a book club inside the I Am Fierce community around this. Money is on my list this year, like as a focus of it's time to grow and really diving into that. So invite you guys in, and Chris, even invite you as we go through the book club, if you'd be open to, coming back in and chatting with us at some time in the future. That would be amazing. And I so appreciate you sharing your story.
Sister.
Yeah, I think it's because we're all intertwined, right? Personal and business. And if we don't have this piece in the mindset, like it just, all your work, it's not going to get to the fullest extent. So thank you for sharing. This is awesome.
Yeah. There's a quote that from Billy Graham that actually lit me up, and you have to go look it up. But he said, once you get your attitude straight around money, it'll help straighten out every area of your life.
Yeah.
And that was infinitely true for me. So
awesome. I want to meet your wife at some point too. She sounds like she's got it going on.
She does have it going on.
Awesome. I'm so happy for you guys. Thank you. And much thanks for being here with us, Chris.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.